Hello, good morning, it's Phil Thatch, and today I'm at a sculpture garden in Chattanooga, Tennessee at Montague Park, which I don't know how long it's been here. Montague Park's been here for years and years and years, but I think they just recently, or over the last few years, changed it to this sculpture garden, and I just learned about it yesterday. So I came out here this morning, and really it was supposed to rain this morning, and I was hoping that we'd have a lot of fog and that some of these pieces of art would look really cool in the fog, and there's not any fog, and the rain is still coming, but it's not coming until later today. So I started walking around, and I brought my R7 and the 100 to 500 and have kind of been trying to make bird photos, and not much here besides robins. I did see a red-tailed hawk, but it was so far away, and stupidly I wore a bright red shirt today, so I'm spooking all the birds when I get anywhere near them. But I was walking around, and there's kind of a centerpiece of this thing, which is really tall. I don't know how tall it is. When I get over there by it, I'll be able to give you a better assessment of how tall it is. But as I was walking around, I finally came across a composition that I thought looked pretty good, and I did a panorama. I used the R6 Mark II and the 24 to 105 at 1/20th of a second f8, a multi-shot panorama, which hopefully will stitch. Of course, I set the everything manual, so nothing changed between each shot, and I did I set even my white balance manual, and made a shot with this kit right here of this scene over here with Lookout Mountain in the background. I made another shot from here, this time a single shot, and I got the camera in horizontal mode, and I love that the largest artwork here. I'm not even sure if I'm thrilled with much of the rest of the artwork here, honestly, but I really love that one. And from this angle with the mountain in the background, it's really cool. Plus there's a little rolling hill that kind of slopes down to the right, and the mountain in the background slopes down to the left. There's a lot of man-made stuff, so I don't have the entire mountain, but anyway, I think the composition works out. I've got the piece of artwork kind of rule of thirds on the left, and I'm down. I've slowed my shutter speed down. I'm still at ISO 100 and f8, and I've slowed my shutter speed down to 1/13th, which the camera meter calls it overexposed, but there's no blinkies, and I like it a little bit brighter. So let's take a look at that one. I have learned that this piece of art is called Anchors, and it's by Peter Lundberg, and believe it or not, that thing is 75 feet tall. I knew it was really tall, but I had no idea it was that tall. But I think my photograph does it justice. I like the way the sky looks, and I like the way Lookout Mountain starts high on the right and goes low on the left, and then the hill goes from high on the left to low on the right. I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. Well, I like the way I exposed that second shot after the pano so much that I decided to reshoot my pano at 1/13th instead of 1/20th. So I did another pano of this scene. Here is the panorama. It's kind of cluttered over on the right-hand side, but I wanted to get the whole mountain in the shot. And then there's an American flag way in the background, another piece of artwork over here on the left. But this one really looks great as the entire pano to look at. The scroll, I think, doesn't really carry as much weight as the panorama, but we'll look at the scroll one more time, this time going in the other direction, and you can see the same sloping hills and sloping mountain that was in my single shot. And again, a little bit too much clutter on the right, but I wanted to get the whole mountain, and I just really love the way it looks in this, seeing the entire panorama. Probably doesn't look very good on a cell phone, but on a larger monitor it looks pretty good. I found another piece of art here that I like. It's this metal man who appears to be full of despair or grief or some sort of something like that. And I made a couple of shots with the R7 and the 100 to 500 as I was wandering around looking for birds. And basically the only birds I'm seeing here is American robins. And then I walked around and I found a composition with the man full of despair and the large piece of artwork, and it's almost like he's full of despair because of something the large piece of artwork's doing to him. So I walked a pretty good distance back, as you can see here. I'm walking back to my camera now, and made a shot of that. Now this doesn't have Lookout Mountain in the background because it's over there, but it does have some trees kind of in between the Man of Despair and the big piece of artwork, and I think it turned out pretty cool. While I was walking around the sculpture fields looking for compositions, I was also carrying the R7 in my hand with the 100 to 500, and I was looking for birds to photograph, and I made this photograph of this sculpture with the R7 and the 100 to 500. Got a lot of compression, I really like it. And this is by Jason Kim's, and it's called Least Amount of Space, which I guess the sculpture is trying to get into the least amount of space. I like Man of Despair as my name for it, but it could also be called Tornado Drill. It kind of looks like the way you get yourself down into a small space during a tornado drill in grade school. But here's the shot that I made where I worked on the composition for quite a while, and it looks like the Man of Despair is being affected by the anchor statue in the background, like it's some sort of power that's causing him to suffer. And I really love the way this shot turned out. It's probably my favorite of the day. And I've also found out that only 17 of the 49 sculptures are permanent, and the Man of Despair statue is not permanent, and it's also for sale, I found out, for $98,000. Well, I have made it over to the centerpiece of this sculpture garden, and it is quite large, as you can see. Goes way up in the air. I don't know the name of it. There are plaques around some of these things, but it's kind of hard to figure out which plaque goes with what. But I'm going to say that thing has got to be at least 30, maybe 40 feet tall. I'll see if I can find some information on the internet to help me describe it. There's lights on it, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these lights, these LED lights, which look like they have, excuse me, a kind of a red color to them. And I'm glad they're not on, because I'm sure the light on it would not be even. And also, it needs some repair. There's a lot of the surface is coming off, and there's like plastic bag looking material poking through. But from a distance, because I was shooting all the way over there, you can see the Despair Man way in the distance. I was shooting all the way over at the buildings, or near the buildings that are behind it. So from that distance, you probably can't tell. But anyway, pretty cool. I wasn't very happy with the bird photographs I made this morning, but I thought I would share a couple of them with you. You know, I was mostly concentrating on trying to find compositions of the sculptures, but the bird photography was just a fallback. So here's a northern mockingbird, and this is my favorite. This is a red-winged blackbird that's in a tree there at the sculpture garden, and the red vertical streaks in the background is another one of the sculptures that's very out of focus and bokehfied in the distance. All right, that's going to do it for me from here at the sculpture fields at Montague Park. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, and as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye from Chattanooga, Tennessee.